Hello, this is Gideon Miles. I just wanted to walk you through some work I've done in R, Python, and Excel, just to really quick give you kind of a brief run through of what I've done. I've done a lot more in all these languages. This was just kind of do a quick thing out of respect for your time to show you what I can do and what I could do for you. The first one I want to show off with was a interactive application I made in R using COBA data. I integrated CDC data and geography data all together into making a couple different maps that showed the spread of COVID by month, by day, and by state, and by county. This is just the kind of some of the code I did here. It's available on my GitHub. A lot of it was cleaning. I was converting all these dates to numerics, so you could use it in interactive stuff, and the rest of it's just very simple interactions. Here's an example of a finished project. As you can pick the state, down here is the national trend. You can see that, and that there's the first two humps, and then right here where restrictions were relaxed, it had a big hump. You can see big increases and decreases. Here you can pick any date, and it'll hone in on the specific day and show you the heat there. This was a really great project to dig into some map visualizations, a little bit of GIS, and even make a little animation that you can see on my site as well. This was some work I did for the state of Pennsylvania, specifically the State Retirement Agency. They were doing a survey of state retirees, and particularly their approach towards technology. It's kind of the mentality that usually the older someone is, the less interested they are in technology. And they were trying to figure out how do we address our services to these members that we have. It was really cool to dig into this data, all these surveys they had, and come up with some findings and say, hey, this is what people are interested in. This is actually how many people are really interested in using technology, and it was actually much higher than we thought. So I cleaned up all the data, did some cool extraction, and made some graphs here. This was my version of a dashboard. I made it in Excel because that's what was available to me, as opposed to some other neat tools that are out there. And this is what was familiar and accessible to those I worked with. So here it's fairly simple. You can look through the different kinds of surveys we had, if they'd visited the site before, what services they were interested in, and so it allowed us to do some cool mixing and matching to say who said they were interested in online form submissions and nothing else, or how many people have mentioned using email, and it was cool to kind of toggle it in to say, hey, we have a large percentage of people that use technology but maybe don't feel comfortable with websites, or vice versa. I made a couple graphs here that will flex with the data. So I'll tell you the age breakdown, how often they're talking about having internet access, if they've been to the site before, what they found meaningful in retirement. That was one of the things they're interested in. And some others, how they prefer to be contacted, and what kind of functions they want on the site. This was one I put together in about a week or two, and it was a really cool project. Just wanted to show that one off, kind of what you can do in Excel, and you can transfer these tools into other languages as well. The last thing I wanted to showcase was some work I did when I was in the Flatiron School, and that was machine learning and neural networks and all the data analysis, data science stuff. This was my final project where I had to create a predictive model for something. My background is in public policy and administration, and so I wanted to see if I could make a predictive model for bills, to see if I could predict a congressional bill passing. So I was using a bunch of different information in this. So the co-sponsors, what the ratio of co-sponsors were, how many there were, what committees were assigned to, what was the text itself saying, what's its policy area, and everything else. How many related bills did it have, and integrating all that into more of a model that I could try to use to predict it. It got pretty good at predicting everything except for if the bill became a law, because there were a lot of different outcomes here. You can see if it only passed the House or if it was only introduced, meaning that it died right before getting any progress by the end of the session, or if it became a law, or a lot of other types of things in here. And so the model got up pretty good to about 95% accuracy, meaning it was able to pick up on quite a bit of information. But it was struggling a little bit on the things about specifically loss and not loss. That said, it was still a really great experience. That required a lot of data cleaning and feature creation, and then it was just a really cool project. I've did some other work here. This was another e-commerce seller where they were asking to know what the breakdown was of their clientele by their incomes, which that information they didn't have, but they did have the zip codes, and so I merged or pulled the census data on their zip code, their median income, and kind of, hey, it looks like you're catering to a little higher income clientele than what the median is with your products, which is what they were trying to do, and that was a really cool project to look at. Here's some work I did for housing prices in King County, Washington. It was just another example of correlating two things together. In this case, we were looking for the price of the home and looking how other things correlated in a linear regression. So, how many square feet and does have affect the price? What's the overall quality? Is it beachfront? All that kind of stuff. The waterfront property and everything else fed into a model. We had a pretty decent model, but it was a great project just to dig in again, cleaning data, identifying relationships, identifying co-correlating things that were maybe the same thing twice and removing that, and generally refining data approach. This was a fictitious Microsoft Studios, right? Saying, oh well, there's a studio who is they're going to make movies. What should they make? And we went ahead and pulled in the Twitch data and said, hey, there's a ton of stuff that people want to watch content for that you're now acquiring. In fact, you're acquiring, 5 of the top 6 with this purchase. So it might be a really good idea to make some content. And that was a really cool project to kind of dig in and dig out some analysis. Well, I've done some numerous other projects just as practice and learning, but I don't want to take more of your time today. So this is just kind of a showcase of what I can do, and I'd love to do something for you. Thank you.